Hello, in this lecture we'll take a look at goroutines. Now goroutines is basically a way to run several functions, or even two functions, a couple of functions at the same time. Okay, so you start them and they both or all run at the same time. What you can also do is pass variables, of course, and then return them. Okay, return them once all of them have been executed. Okay, once all of them functions have been executed, you can return those as well. So we will look at all of that. Okay, so what we have here is our little code, our little sample code, and as usual you will be able to get access to it. So we have four functions. Okay, we will have four functions and we will run them at the same time. Now we will execute them from A to D. As you can see, we have test function A, test function B, and so on up until D. Okay, we have four of them. Now each one of them will print words, as you can see in this console, in 2, in 1, depending on the function. So for test function A, that would be in 1, for test function B, that would be in 2, and so on. Okay, so that's the input, and it prints the input and it also returns the input, so that in the end it prints them all out in that particular ascending order. Okay, just like that. So first it prints independently and then it prints all of them at once and also says done. Okay, and that happens with this function, print all function. Okay, we call that, and we have four parameters, four arguments. Okay, four arguments here, A, B, C, D. Okay, for each one of them, and again it's the same order. A would be in 1, B would be in 2, and so on. And we also return a string. We also return a string that is done, and then that would be printed. So we will see that everything does indeed work, and you will see, you will be able to find the whole possibility of this thing. Okay, so every possible variable you will be able to find in this code, and you will be able to use for your projects. Okay, so we have these four functions and then this final one. Okay, and what we did here also in these functions, we don't want to have them print at the same order. We want to actually check that they run at the same time. Okay, so we will start running test A, but it will sleep for 9,000. Okay, whilst test function D will only sleep for 1,000. Okay, and therefore it will all get messed up. It won't be at the same execution order. Okay, if we did that in that way, it would basically just print them 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in the ascending order. It wouldn't be interesting to look at. So the way we do that is a bit complicated. First, if you want to return, okay, if you want to return, you do need some variables. So we create some strings. We will be returning strings, and therefore we create strings. Okay, and then we create some variables for arguments. We will pass through these arguments. So again, we have A, B, C, D, and in 1 for to 4 rather. Okay, just like that. Very, very simple so far. Now the way you execute them is a little bit more complex. Okay, it is a bit more complex, and what you need to do to execute that go routine, you need to write go. Okay, you write go, that's a keyword, and then you create this function in a function, mind you. Okay, that's function in a function, like that, in the main in this case, but it could be in any other function as well. So we have go, we have this sort of like new function. Okay, and this function takes one argument. Okay, it takes one argument, and then it does something with it. It passes to our function that we want to execute. Okay, just like that, and it returns to this variable. Okay, to this a that we have made. Okay, just like that. Now the way you pass through the argument, is with these parentheses in the end of that little new function. Okay, you pass this one to this place. Okay, and then from this place the n goes into the argument list of our function that we want to execute. Okay, so the function that we execute is just a normal simple function. Okay, but what happens when you do this go func kind of a function, it starts executing. Okay, it starts executing and then it runs away. It doesn't wait for it to return. That's it. It starts and it goes on to the next one. Okay, it goes on to the next one right away, very simply like that. So this one then executes the same exact thing, just kind of a different variable, and that's it. And then again, this one starts, it doesn't return, but it goes directly to this one. Okay, it goes directly to this one, and the same with this one. Okay, this one starts, doesn't return, but goes on, moves on to this final one. Okay, just like that. And they all basically start at the same time. Now there is of course latency with this stuff, so with something terribly small you shouldn't even bother using this stuff. But again, if it takes some significant amount of time, you should definitely consider some asynchronous programming. It would definitely not hurt. Okay, so we have those initiated. Now with this one right now, print all function, we pass through these variables. Okay, and we have this sort of like more sign, more or less sign. Okay, and then a little minus, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, we have this kind of a syntax. Again, you can look at the code, you can remember, you can write it down. We have this, and that is how you pass through those variables. If we would not have this, it would not wait. Okay, so what happens with this one, print all function, it will stop right here. It will stop right here until these variables are filled by the returns of these functions. Okay, until that happens, the whole application stops right here. Okay, nothing is happening. It stops right here. But once we all get filled up, once we all get assigned, this print all function starts and we get a print. Okay, just like that. And finally it returns. We have that final term. Okay, and we print that. So that would be the word done, very simply like that. Okay, so let's try to run it again. We already saw the output, but let's try it again. Again, it's we did mess it up, so it won't be in the same order probably. So as you go, run main go, see what happens. And as you can see, we have in this case in 1, in 3, in 4, in 2. So it's not in the same order, it all got a bit messed up. Now as you can see, this is kind of a small delay, so it doesn't really show that much. It takes more time to actually load everything than to see those displays. But with a lot of resources spent, this would be a good idea to make the performance a bit better. Okay, and finally we get those returns and they print them in ascending order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally we have done. So again, you have this code, you should play around with it, you should perhaps try to implement a few more arguments. Okay, a few more arguments, try them without arguments, try them with arguments, maybe remove that function, play around with it, don't be afraid of it. See if it works, see if it doesn't. Come back with questions if it doesn't. And again, do practice this. This will be very useful. And with that, we will conclude this lecture.